Matt Smith, the charismatic British actor renowned for his iconic portrayal of the 11th Doctor in the long-running series Doctor Who, and his intense performances in critically acclaimed dramas such as The Crown and House of the Dragon, has once again proven that his off-screen persona is as fiery and unfiltered as some of the complex characters he brings to life. In a recent industry panel discussion held in the heart of London's theatre district, Smith unleashed a torrent of expletives directed squarely at the political establishment, lambasting them for what he perceives as a systematic dismantling of the creative arts sector. His outburst, delivered with the same passionate intensity that has endeared him to fans worldwide, has ignited a broader conversation about the precarious state of funding, regulation, and support for artists, filmmakers, and performers in an era of economic austerity and shifting cultural priorities. "These bloody politicians are fucking up everything we hold dear," Smith declared, his voice rising above the murmurs of agreement from the assembled crowd of fellow creatives, producers, and advocates. The event, ostensibly focused on the future of British cinema in the streaming age, quickly devolved into a raw, unscripted airing of grievances that highlighted the deep-seated frustrations bubbling beneath the surface of an industry already battered by the lingering effects of the global pandemic, Brexit-related disruptions, and now what many see as short-sighted governmental policies. To understand the full weight of Smith's rant, one must first appreciate the context in which it erupted. The panel was part of a larger symposium organized by a coalition of arts organizations, including the British Film Institute and Equity, the Performers Union, aimed at dissecting the government's latest budget proposals. These proposals included steep cuts to public funding for cultural institutions, slashing the Arts Council's budget by an additional 10% on top of previous reductions, and the introduction of stringent content guidelines for publicly subsidized projects. Proponents of the measures argued that they were necessary to redirect resources toward essential services like healthcare and infrastructure, but critics, including Smith, viewed them as a direct assault on the lifeblood of national identity and economic vitality. The creative industries, after all, contribute over £100 billion to the UK economy annually, employing millions and exporting British talent to global audiences. Yet, as Smith pointed out with characteristic bluntness, while they're busy patting themselves on the back for balancing the books, they're gutting the very sector that puts Britain on the map. It's like chopping down the golden goose to save on bird feed, utter bollocks. Smith's delivery was nothing short of theatrical, a performance honed from years on stage and screen where timing and emotional authenticity are paramount. Dressed in a casual black turtleneck that evoked his brooding Prince Philip from The Crown, he leaned into the microphone, his eyes flashing with a mix of incredulity and fury. "Listen, I've spent my career pretending to be aliens, kings and dragon-riding warlords, but nothing prepares you for the real monsters. The suits in Westminster who think they can waltz in and dictate what stories we tell, what art we make and how we make a living from it," he began, pausing for effect as laughter rippled through the room. The expletives flowed naturally, not as shock value but as punctuation to his points, each fuck or shit landing like a well-aimed dart, underscoring the urgency of his message. He recounted personal anecdotes that brought the abstract policy debates down to earth. The cancellation of a low-budget indie film he had been slated to produce due to withdrawn tax incentives, the skyrocketing costs of theater rehearsals post-Brexit, with EU crew members now facing visa hurdles that add thousands to budgets, and the chilling effect of proposed values-based funding criteria, which could penalize works deemed too controversial or unpatriotic. What made Smith's tirade particularly resonant was its unapologetic authenticity, a stark contrast to the polished soundbites often heard in such forums. As an actor who rose from the working-class streets of Northampton to the hallowed halls of the Royal Academy of Dramatic Art, Smith has always carried a chip on his shoulder about class divides in the arts. "I didn't get here by silver spoon," he reminded the audience, his voice cracking slightly with emotion. "I scraped by on grants and odd jobs, and now they're pulling up the ladder behind every kid from a council estate who dreams of holding a script instead of a hammer." This personal stake elevated the rant beyond mere celebrity venting. It became a proxy for the countless unsung heroes of the sector, stagehands, writers, costume designers, whose livelihoods hang in the balance. Fellow panelists, including acclaimed director Andrea Arnold and comedian Romesh Ranganathan, nodded vigorously, with Arnold later adding her own measured critique on how such policies disproportionately harm diverse voices, particularly those from underrepresented communities. The immediate aftermath of Smith's outburst was a media whirlwind, with clips circulating virally on social platforms, amassing millions of views within hours. Supporters hailed him as a modern-day champion, drawing parallels to punk icons like Johnny Rotten who used profanity as a weapon against authority. Matt Smith just said what we've all been thinking. Time to stop whispering and start shouting, tweeted one prominent theater critic. Others, however, clutched their pearls at the language, with conservative commentators decrying it as unbefitting and national treasure, and calling for apologies. Smith, true to form, dismissed the backlash with a wry tweet of his own. If a few F-words offend you more than starving artists, maybe check your priorities. This defiance only amplified his message, turning the incident into a rallying point for petitions and open letters from over 500 industry figures demanding a reversal of the cuts. Delving deeper into the issues Smith raised, the creative arts sector's woes are multifaceted and long-standing. Funding from the Department for Digital, Culture, Media and Sport has dwindled from 0.5% of the national budget pre-2010 to a mere fraction today, forcing venues like the National Theatre to rely on ticket sales and private donations amid rising energy costs. Streaming giants like Netflix and Amazon have filled some voids, but often at the expense of local talent, prioritizing algorithms over artistry and offering contracts that undervalue intellectual property rights. Smith's rant touched on this too, blasting politicians for handing our cultural sovereignty to American tech overlords while pretending to protect British jobs. He advocated for a Creative Renaissance Act, a hypothetical overhaul that would ring-fence arts funding, simplify visa processes for international collaborators, and mandate diversity quotas and commissioning, ideas that have since gained traction in parliamentary debates. Smith's career trajectory lends ironic weight to his words. From his debut as a footballer-turned-actor in Party Animals, to embodying the time-traveling doctor, he has navigated the precarious freelance life of an artist, turning down lucrative commercials to pursue passion projects. His role as Demon Targaryen in HBO's